War never changes. That's why I brought nukes to Minecraft. But just how did I do it? With no mods and only command blocks, I brought mankind's greatest weapon into a video game. You see, I had made a nuke launcher before. This wasn't my first time breaking international laws in Minecraft, but this was before FMBEs were a thing. For those of you who don't know, FMBEs are these fancy block displays that we can do with commands in the Bedrock Edition of Minecraft. And there's a lot that you can do with them, including making nuclear blasts. So I decided it was time to give this old creation a rework, and that's just what I set out to do. So I started where any nuclear project should start. A pig. Well, actually I lied. I started with an armor stand and then switched to a pig because pigs can actually have the resistance effect unlike armor stands. And when I wanted to make this nuke, I wanted to make sure the center radius did a big circular explosion that actually destroyed blocks. Now, of course, I could use things like the fill command, however that might make it look too square and blocky, and it wouldn't account for block damage resistance, so things like obsidian wouldn't be able to tank it. So instead, I opted to have a pig essentially spin around and summon a whole bunch of ender crystals in front of it, having them explode immediately. This would kill the armor stand, but the pig with resistance could tank it. Ironically though, because the pig is still an actual animal with AI, when spinning around it would occasionally just jerk around, which means that it would actually skip over certain areas. So I actually had to copy the rotation from an armor stand way off to the side that's near my commands, copy that rotation to the pig, and have all the commands run off the armor stand's rotation at the pig's location. Which, of course, why not? Let's complicate things. Next up for this project was the actual mushroom cloud, which really was not all that hard. All we had to do was have 4 FMBEs that slowly expanded over time and changed their items. Probably the easiest part of the project, but nonetheless an important part. Ad time. Is this you? Do women fear you? Do fish fear you? Do men turn their eyes away from you as you walk? Does any beast dare to make a sound in your presence? Are you alone on this barren earth? Well, have I got the solution for you. Visit guppyduck.com to get the perfect makeover with official merch. Help out the channel and look amazing! This will certainly solve all of your problems. No, but I am serious. If you guys want to help out the channel and get some cool merch that I designed myself, check out the link in the description. guppyduck.com. See you there. Next up, we have the real problem child of this whole creation. That's the blast ring. All the FMBs that are expanding and coming out from the center of the explosion, terraforming the whole area around them. You see, starting out, I had the brilliant idea of just, as we're having this pig spin, well, really the rotation of the armor stand spinning around the pig, we're just going to keep summoning in these blocks right around the center of the pig. Now, one of the advantages is because I was using the camera command to blind the player with the initial explosion, it gave us a couple of seconds where we could kind of make the thing look ugly just to make sure we're set up properly. While there were some small issues with this, it was able to be worked out pretty easily over time, but the real problem was scale. You see, for a Minecraft nuke to be a nuke, it has to be pretty big. And obviously this explosion is nowhere near as large as a real-life nuke would be, but we had to make it pretty big to even get a glimpse of having that real feel being added to the game. And you're going to see there's obviously some limitations with that, but it was so difficult to even reach the scale that I did. And quite frankly, I don't think it's practical to make this nuke any bigger than what I was able to. Let's get into why. I want my nuke to be pretty big in terms of the actual blast effect that's going on and terraforming everything. The problem is the way that Minecraft loads, this whole area is not going to be loaded all at once. When a Minecraft map is loaded in, it's only going to load the area directly around the player. This way, you don't want the whole world loaded in, or else it's going to cause a lot of unnecessary lag. However, this means that the blast particles are getting teleported into unknown chunks, where they're either going off for infinity to the void and lagging up your world, or they're just not going to do anything. So one of the things that I did is at the pig at the center, I added a ticking area. Now a ticking area loads an area around whatever it is. However, this ticking area was still not big enough for the entirety of the nuke. So what I had to do was be a little more creative. And this took me a long time to figure out, but essentially I made it so that the blast radius entities stop moving whenever the player is out of a certain range, and their timer pauses. So as soon as the player is actually loading the area they're in, then they're going to keep moving and terraforming the terrain. This allows for a much more realistic effect, meaning that even if you're not currently loading all the nuke around you, it will inevitably fill the size of the nuke that it's supposed to. An important caveat is when I say it took me a while to figure out, I meant that I figured it out nearly right away, but had a typo in one of the essential commands that it took me forever to find because I didn't realize I had it. The next thing I had to make was the actual terraforming, which wasn't really all that hard. All it was is as these blast things were going out from the center of the explosion, they would transform nearby blocks into other blocks. For instance, stone would turn into cobblestone. Now, one of the things I did change here was to make so the terraforming is actually based on the timer of the projectiles, meaning that more extreme changes happen closer to the center. Like I said, stone turns into cobblestone, but only close to the center, not in the whole radius. Grass is transformed into coarse dirt closer to the center, and regular dirt farther from the center. Logs were pretty uniformly transformed into polished basalt. Leaves were initially transformed into air closer to the center, and transformed into dry mangrove roots because it looks like dead leaves further from the center. I suppose pale leaves would have been a decent option too, but I like the roots. Short grass and tall grass, other related things, were originally turned into dried coral to make it look really dead, short dry grass, or a dead bush, something further out. As you can see, there's a couple other things like water were turned into air, but overall it was just a matter of as these blast particles are going out, there's a whole bunch of fill replace commands that they're doing, transforming one block into another block. You may have noticed from some of my recordings that shortly after a nuclear blast happens, the whole area is covered in this thick red fog. That's because it's a radiation zone. Now, the radiation zone was originally something I was going to do for this video, but I decided to put some more effort and make it its own video. So that's going to be a part 2. It's going to have things like radiation zones, radiation poisoning, and even mutations happening to all kinds of different mobs. So make sure you stay tuned for part 2. Additionally, please check out guppyduck.com, the link will be in the description. Support the channel, get some merch. That's all. I feel like I didn't blow up enough stuff in this video, so I'm going to round off with a montage of me blowing stuff up. And if you want to play with this nuke, even without the finished radiation, the structure file and world download are going to be available on my Discord.